All right, well, how's it going, folks? We are back again for the 6th episode of ITF UFO News and Commentary. My research partner, Dan Vit.
How you doing, guys?
And we're back. We got some current stories that are going on right now. So why don't we talk about this first one here? This
Let it rip.
So this whole Albert Einstein's assistant story.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar with it, there's a couple of websites that go through the whole thing. They talk about how it all happened.
Can you put something up there to get people to
Yeah. I mean, I can put links down below
it is
to
an interesting story.
to Kevin Randall's blog is actually where it is.
Right.
And so, anyways, in 1994, this woman who was a UFO researcher, her name was Sheila Franklin. She came across a friend of hers that had a student who was a student of Dr.
Einstein.
No, not Dr. Einstein.
I mean,
Shirley Wright.
oh,
Shirley Wright is the name of the woman that's being claimed to be visiting Roswell with Einstein. So anyways, long story short, she hears a story through this chain, finds out about it, goes to this restaurant. Dr. Shirley Wright agrees to let her record it, and she tells her story about how her and Albert Einstein visited Roswell, looked at crashed UFO, dead alien bodies, and a live alien too.
mm-hmm.
And so come to find out, Dr. Shirley Wright was a college professor, I believe in Miami-Dade Community
That's
College.
what it said,
Yeah, and she was there for 50 years, apparently. Had a PhD in chemistry, physical chemistry, and I think physical science.
Physical science also, yeah.
Um,
She had 3 or 4
When she was
degrees,
18,
PhDs
apparently,
too.
yeah, she wasn't no dummy,
Right.
that's for sure.
No doubt.
So when she was 18 years old, she was a student of Dr. Albert Einstein,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when he taught at Princeton.
Yeah.
And a lot of times professors would take their students on different excursions and
Yes, they would.
expeditions and things like that.
And they would also kind of have an assistant, the kid with the apple,
Right. Yeah, right.
And they'd take them all over. When I
The
was
teacher's
in college,
pet.
I did. Yeah. Kinda, sorta, that kind of thing.
So she claims that when they left to go on this excursion, she was chosen. She went with him, and they went to Roswell. So there's a bunch of red flags with this case, and we'll take a look at a few of them. So one of the first ones that came up was, let's go back to the recordings. So the recordings were just released, but they were written about by Leonard Stringfeld back in 94. They talked about how she was recorded in a restaurant, but those tapes were never released until now. And that's why this whole thing has come up again. It's a hot topic. Those recordings have never been heard until now. And again, there's a bunch of red flags with this situation. So the first one is her description of the base. Right?
It's inaccurate.
Right. It doesn't match Roswell.
No.
There's a bunch of distance problems, how long she says she was in the car driving. There's just and Leonard Stringfeld recognized it when he wrote about her, because he suggested to her, I believe he said, well, maybe it was
Edwards Air Force Base.
Right. And she said, yeah, that's a possibility, that sounds familiar. But
it was Muroc Dry Lake back then.
So in 1947, Edwards was Muroc Air Force Base. It wasn't called Edwards Air Force Base.
It was the Salt Flats.
Right, so that was another red flag, that she was recognizing that it was Edwards Air Force Base, but it wasn't called that back then.
Right.
And so let's see. Oh, okay. So they also look at her security clearance. So she's 18.
It's just
She's a high school student. What people don't realize is there's different levels of security clearance.
Right.
So you can be cleared to see one kind of important thing.
Right.
And then you can be cleared to see the highest, most sensitive data that we have. So that's, you know, just claiming you have security clearance does not mean anything. They could have cleared her to go into a factory where they were making weapons.
See, now
it could have been anything.
I could see them, you know, something like that really happened. It would kind of make sense to call in somebody like Einstein. I mean, did they ever say why they wanted him there? I mean, you know,
that's the whole reason behind the story.
But to have her able to go with him,
which is really shaky.
It's through all that clearance, like you say,
and they're expecting this 18-year-old to go back to high school,
and then she's
not tell her friends. I'm sorry, not high school, to college. Not tell her friends.
Right.
Not talk to anybody about seeing dead aliens, crashed UFOs. Yeah. I believe this girl would have been in complete shock.
Yeah.
If she had seen this type of situation. Yeah, she doesn't like talk about it like that. Like it's like an amazing thing. She talks about it like she just stopped down at the car lot to look at a new Chevy.
I was gonna say the interview with her, the recording. She's really fluid though. She's coming out with it.
She has the story down pat.
She's got it down.
She's got it down pat.
But I mean, was that the first time she ever told it? Apparently,
as far as we know.
So
as far as we know. I mean, she could have been reading literature about Roswell and took on her own story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're talking 1994.
Right.
There was a bunch of books out about Roswell.
Oh, yeah. It was well known by then.
There was all kinds of stuff going on in ufology. And so, you know, who knows? I mean, but again, the security clearance
I can see that,
is really shaky.
It's allow her to go in on
to
that.
pick some 18-year-old girl. I'm not disparaging her, whether it was a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter. Security clearance is just like really shaky to say that for some college student that was chosen out of a college.
That was right after World War II ended, too.
Right
after.
So here's a big red flag. So she claimed that one of the photographers that was there taking pictures of the dead aliens, the craft, and I believe the one live alien that was strapped to a gurney, it was flopping around. I guess it was injured, making
screaming
noises.
Yep.
This photographer agreed to hand her a set of 48 photographs, 35 millimeter, 48 of them. She claimed to Leonard Stringfeld at the time that she had these photographs. Then the story changed to her car got stolen with a suitcase with most of the photographs. When the car was recovered, the police wouldn't return the suitcase or the photographs. That doesn't even make sense, but okay.
We'll go on with it then.
Right, so then the story goes on from there. Then she says she still had a few left, and she promised him that she would give him these photos of dead aliens, the crash UFO. And then that went on for a while, and he didn't receive them.
She basically just kept stringing them along.
Right. Then it got down to she found one photograph in a file cabinet in a folder with some other papers. Promised to get it to him. Days went by, he didn't receive it. I guess he called her. She said, I sent it in the mail, which was shocking for him. He writes that he was like, I didn't want you to do that because if anything happens to it, it's the only piece of evidence we have. I wanted you to make a Xerox copy, send me that. But she claimed she sent him this one photo. And as
Her
all the
excuse
other
is outrageous.
stages, it never arrived. Huge red flag how she strung him along with these photographs. Now, not only that, but some people are not talking about, she also claimed to have photographs of her with
Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
And none of it ever materialized.
None exist.
At all, so.
There's none online.
Yeah.
She never produced any. So there's that. Again, another kind of level to the story being told, you know, to maybe give it some credibility with no evidence.
Mhm.
So, huge
That's
problems.
the thing, Scott. We've
Yeah.
got another thing like this. It's just a story.
Yeah, huge problems.
Where
with
there
that.
should be huge amounts of evidence.
Her pseudonym in the Leonard Stringfeld
It's crazy.
story was Edith Simpson. And that's what she called herself, but obviously her real name was Dr. Shirley Wright. Again, she was a student of Albert Einstein.
Yep, that's
Did she
confirmed.
go on any excursions with him? No one's really sure.
Mhm.
There's been no record found of that. It's possible he may have chosen a handful of students to do certain things with him.
Yeah.
That's very, very possible.
Mhm.
But I think as 94 rolled along, or the 90s, she began telling this story
Yeah. Mhm.
that her and Albert Einstein visited Roswell.
Right.
And, you know, so for me, looking at all of those red flags, I'm not buying it. It's just not anything. It's going to become something else in the hall of mythology,
Yeah.
in ufology. What do you think, Dan?
To me, like I just said, it's without any evidence to back it up. It's just another story. It's just another story that
Now, why do you
can believe it or you can't. You
Now,
know,
why do
it's
you
pretty
think
much
she would
up
do?
to you.
Why do you
That's
think
what
she
I
would
am.
do this?
I have no idea.
What would be the
What
motivation?
would be the motivation for somebody to come up with something like that? Especially in a coffee shop, meeting these people, having it tape recorded, kind of, you know, not publicizing it at all. Now you have just one recording of it, and that's it. She never seemed to continue to try to spread her story.
Yeah, there's no other record of it other than.
That's kind of weird.
And the
also,
thing is
though.
that
You know what I mean? She had that one interview, came up with that story.
and she knew
and
at
that
the
was
time
it.
that
So,
Stringfield
you know.
was going to put her under a pseudonym.
Yeah.
So she knew that.
Mhm.
So she could see what he had written
Yeah.
under her fake name.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't ruin her reputation, but it would get her some attention.
Yeah.
Even though nobody knew who it was, but still she could say, you know, years later, oh, look, that's me.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're not buying it.
That I don't know.
He's not buying it.
No, I'm not. I'm not biting into that sandwich.
No, see, Dan's not buying it either.
I'm just not. No.
It's super shaky story. I would ignore it. It's complete
Yeah, I
garbage.
wouldn't take it as truth. There's just no evidence, and there should be.
If
She should
if
have
something
photos.
surfaces down the road,
I mean, why
that'd be
wouldn't you-
great.
If
A
I had-
photograph of them together, or one of the photos of the base.
If I had
or-
photographs of all that, there's no way I would ever lose track of it. How
No,
could you lose
no.
track of photographs
And
like
what are
that?
the photos doing
You know, I mean,
of
come on.
of alien beings?
There's no way. I'd have
A
to
UFO doing in a suitcase in your car. Really?
You know, it's just
'Cause
too
if
much
I had
BS
those,
going on with it.
They'd be in a vault.
Yeah, right.
They'd be locked in a vault.
right.
And I would make copies and
If they
mail
were
them to
real,
other
if it was
people
real.
so that they would have a record of it as well.
But it's
There
funny.
would be no,
Yeah.
you know, hanging out in my
Of
back
course.
seat in my
Right.
suitcase.
I know,
Like,
that's ridiculous.
what are you talking about?
Yep.
That is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Common sense, critical thinking.
Right. True.
You know,
Absolutely. So no, I think it's a big crock.
Dan Vit, folks, thinks it's a crock.
Has spoken.
And in that term, that would be what, a crock of shit?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what my
Big
father
old-
used to say
big
all the
old
time.
crock of shit.
That is a crock of shit.
Big old crock of shit.
All right, so what are we talking about next, Dan?
The submarine.
Yeah,
The submarine that collided with something underwater.
Right. And where
In
did
the
this
South
take place
China
again?
Sea, South China Sea.
South China Sea.
I believe it was the USS Connecticut submarine.
Yes.
And it could have been anything. I don't think it was a whale. Usually when a submarine hits a whale, it kills it. And they end up floating to the top. And that happens a lot. They do hit them.
But that's not it. But I thought the funniest part was people saying that online.
Oh, that it was a whale? No,
that a big metal submarine is hitting a whale. And the whale's going to do damage to the hull.
Normally there's absolutely no damage. No.
Like, the whale's soft.
I mean, the blue
submarine
whale
is hard metal.
And it's cruising, too.
You know, it's going to kill the whale.
Momentum against momentum, yeah, it's going to pulverize it.
No, I mean, if the whale hit the top, where all the...
Oh, the conning tower?
Yeah,
and rip it apart.
Of course, that would be damage. But if it hit the hull, like they're saying that this object hit the hull, in the front of it, I guess in the nose.
They severely injure the whale, or a lot of times it'll kill it.
Yeah, the whale would never survive. Right. I mean, that's ridiculous.
All right, so
I don't know
wasn't a whale.
Who first started saying that, but that common sense, critical thinking.
There have been collisions with other submarines. It doesn't happen very often.
Well, there was the case in 2005 where they hit an underwater mountain.
Yeah.
Crushed the whole front of the nose.
I mean, there are things.
I'll throw a photo up above of it.
Then a few days later, I'm reading another article. At first, this wasn't mentioned at all. Now it's a UFO. I'm reading.
Well, first let's go back to this part. The articles that are showing the damage to the sub.
Those are fake photos. Those are not.
Well, they're not fake, but they're from cases that happened years ago, and they're using those in the articles,
basically.
And they're not photos of the current situation.
Right.
As far as I can tell, no photos have been released.
Not yet.
Yeah, there's a guy online that I'm watching. He has access to somebody who's trying to get photos. And I'm going to try to see if I can get those and put them out in the public. But as far as we can tell, there's no photos of it.
Right. I've been looking too. I've been trying to find it.
Yeah.
USS Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll just keep looking.
Mm-hmm.
Could it have been what they call a USO, an unidentified submerged object? Yes.
It sure could have.
Could it have been? Maybe. We're not saying it wasn't.
Could have been a lot of things at this point.
It also could be a lot of other things.
And because it's a government issue, we may never find out what it was. You know?
Wow, that's surprising.
They may never tell us.
Yeah, that's surprising.
May never know.
You know how that government is, folks. Real damn honest with you. Yeah, real damn honest.
They like to keep those things secret. Nuclear sub, they probably wouldn't want China to know how damaged it is.
We probably won't find out.
You know,
Zippo.
Because that happened in the South China Sea also.
Yeah, the Chinese are up in arms. They want
all
the
hot
records.
area.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff
They're
going
pissed
on.
already, but now they want all the records and anything pertaining to this accident to be released to them, to the public, because it's a nuclear submarine.
Right.
And it could have caused like a super bad problem. If the reactor was damaged and it was leaking, we'd be having a big problem on our hands.
Big time.
And maybe that's the case, and it's being covered up. Who knows?
Right.
Will we find out? We'll have to wait and see.
Right. We're just kind of waiting on that one.
We can't always jump to the conclusion that when they say in the headline it hits an object, that it becomes a UFO.
Right. There's a lot of things. You wouldn't think, some people
really have to stop doing that.
But, right.
Everything is not a UFO.
Right.
Everything's not a UFO.
Right.
But when you live your life and you're always looking at UFOs, and especially if you just got into it, everything becomes a UFO.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Got a big truck going by. Sounds like a growling bear.
Delivering some sand. Yeah, so
So what's the verdict on this, Dan?
I am undecided.
You just want to hang with it
I don't have enough
more evidence?
I don't have enough information.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, it's interesting.
As to what they hit.
I'm not, super excited about it.
They haven't said what they hit. It could have been a number of things under the water. So I don't know. I'm definitely reading.
You know what it reminds me of?
I want to know what they hit.
It reminds me of there are dozens of these. They're photographs, and I'll put some up for you to see. There are dozens of photographs of the nose of airliners that's caved in.
Yeah.
And people have been posting these for years and saying that they hit a UFO.
Right.
99% of the time, that dent in the nose has got blood splattered in it because it's a bird.
Yeah,
it's a big bird, and it caused damage.
Right.
Remember, the jetliner's going, 500-600 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Slamming into a bird doing, 30 miles an hour.
Right.
It's going to cause a problem.
It definitely does.
And the reason why some people say that these are UFOs is because some of the dents don't have any blood. But that doesn't mean anything.
No, that means
it could have
nothing.
just not split the body to cause any blood to come out. Some of them are splattered with blood.
Right.
And I'll show you, give you some examples. You can check it out yourself. This happens all the time. Jetliners hit planes constantly.
They also get flame outs on their engines. They get sucked into the engine sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some footage. There's some footage of that, I believe.
That miracle in the Hudson, they hit a bird. He says bird strike.
When a bird
Remember that movie?
I thought you were talking.
Remember that movie, The Miracle in the Hudson, when he landed the plane in the Hudson River?
Yes.
That was a bird strike on takeoff. Bird got sucked into the motor.
It happens all the time, folks.
Sullenberger.
Sully. They made a movie out of it called Sully.
Right.
Yeah. So interesting, but not a UFO.
Yeah. And I honestly, seriously have my doubts it was a USO that they hit in the ocean. I think it was probably something else.
Yeah. So, all right, so let's move on to something else here that's kind of hot again. We're going to talk about the whole Anjali poll that was put up for the voting to see who's going to go on this. Let me get it right. The Mojave Mountain Transcension.
I don't even know.
Project. No, I'm sorry. Transcension.
There was one more. I can't remember what it was either. Project was the last word.
Transcension Project.
Oh, God.
Expedition Team.
Yeah. Expedition Team. Right.
So the Mojave Mountain Transcension Project Expedition Team. And they're calling it TPET.
Nice.
And, unbeknownst to me, I
And a
was
lot of
chosen for this poll, and I'm in it for you to vote for. I have no idea why. It would be interesting to actually go on it, and I go into a tunnel, and holy shit.
There's aliens.
Yeah,
and purple praying mantises.
Now, I have nothing against you,
I'm
Anjali.
sorry, I can't help it.
I thank you. I have a lot of respect for you for picking me because of all the kind of, not so much grief I gave you, but, a little bit of the kind of ribbing. This is... The poll was put up, and I forgot how many people out of this round. The top two out of each four will then be put into a new group to vote on. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm up against podcaster and author Ryan Sprague. He's a good guy, talked to him a few times, so. If you want to go vote and you think this is going to happen. I mean, I voted, just for the hell of it. Dan voted too.
I did.
I don't have too much faith in the end results of this situation.
Yeah.
But, I find it fun. It's entertaining. And you know, I thank her for picking me. I had no idea, didn't have any idea she was going to put me on this list. But even after I gave her shit, she still put me on the list. So
that was righteous.
So I hope it turns out to be something. I do. I mean, if they found something,
I got
you know, what would do it for you? What would do it for you?
Well,
not
after,
so. Let's say
after the claims that,
but let's say not a base,
that.
not aliens. But
Well,
what
left?
piece of information, of evidence, would make you go, wait a minute, when they get to this mountain? So let's say they get in the tunnel.
Right.
It's blocked with stone.
Yeah.
She says, like she's already posted, that it's
they left or a dimensional.
that the dimensional
thing.
doorway is
right.
that
Okay.
it may have been a dimensional doorway and it's not a physical doorway. So what could be there that could
that's going to get my lava flowing?
Sway you one way or another to get your
first
labby flowing?
First of all, I don't know. Anything? I mean...
How about a couple footprints? You know what would be cool to me?
A couple
is if the guy
footprints.
Wayne,
any kind of evidence,
who
if there's
owns
nothing
the land,
there.
either Wayne or his girlfriend or the other couple that was with them, if one of those four people could come forward to confirm her story, and back her up and say, you know what, I was with her, we went in there, we saw this, it was wild. Will that happen?
Oh, that didn't somebody...
Will that happen? I'm putting a call out there for Wayne, his wife, their two friends. One of you come forward, confirm her story.
Yeah.
You know, make it.
Well, I find it odd nobody has.
I don't think they want anything to do with it. I mean, they look at all the crazy people in ufology and go, "Whoa, these people are out there." You know,
for something like if something like that was true, I would think that everybody on the face of the planet would probably want to know about it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So now, if it is true, then how is it possible it's just sitting there and nobody knows, nobody's doing anything about it?
Because it's hidden in the mountain. Who knows?
You got to follow the path of the purple praying
It'd be really badass if it was true.
If it was,
and it would
if
blow
it is
me
true,
away.
then
and it would be a lifelong dream to find out this solid. This is like for real. But
you know,
it's based on multiple people that have come forward
it's just
in ufology over the years, claiming they've had contact with aliens. They've been to their base. They've been on their ship. They've been to their planet.
Yeah.
That's all fine and good. And after reading a couple thousand of those stories, you don't want to read a story anymore.
Right.
We want facts and we want science. I don't want a story.
No.
I don't want to pick up a book. I will not purchase a book that is full of stories. I want evidence, documentation.
Because there really, I firmly
solid
believe
science behind
that
this
there really
stuff.
is something going on. Things are flying
There is
around.
definitely
We don't know where they're from or what, but
something going on out there.
All of this stuff is just, you know, it's
fluff.
Yeah, it's just not cool to me. I want to know what's going on.
Who called it? I think Michael
I
Huntington called it.
Something is going on.
Called it UFO
I want to
theater.
know what it is.
He said there's actual ufology and then there's UFO theater.
Yeah, right.
And some people call it UFOtainment.
It is.
And it comes along.
People see the opportunity to do it, and they do it. You know. Oh, everybody would love this story. Then you know. They
come along and they view a large portion of the UFO community as, oh man, these people are gullible as hell.
Right.
I got a story for them, and I'm going to become a superstar in this community because they're gullible.
And it happens.
But the same
Travis Walton, where's the guy?
The same thing happens in religion.
You know?
Same thing in religion.
Yeah.
They come forward.
I'm convinced there are things flying around. I saw the
Absolutely.
Phoenix lights.
We
I don't know
both
what that
seen
was.
it. We both filmed it. Well, I filmed it. You think you filmed it.
And I want to know. I want to know. And this is all just BS, man. Convoluted.
It's funny. It is
stirring
funny to sit back and watch.
And people make money off
what is
of it.
the
And
next
that,
thing
you know,
that someone's going to
I wish
invent?
somebody
in
draw a
ufology?
line somewhere where the bullshit could go over there, and people who really want to know can go over here and do our thing, you know. But it all has to get mixed in.
See, but that's the problem in ufology. We take people that have no credibility, no evidence, and they elevate them.
Yeah.
And then that person, wow, they're
That's
all looking
unbelievable.
up to this person, so they must be credible.
Yeah.
That's not how things
No,
work.
it's not.
Not at all.
No.
You want to look up to somebody in ufology, look for people who are doing science, who
Yeah.
have raw data, who have facts. These are the people that you want to follow.
Yep.
You don't want to follow people that are following fake stories. Phil
crazy.
Snyder with his fake base in Dulce, New Mexico. There's no base there.
Right.
I just got an argument with a guy the other day about it. Again, in a different UFO group,
Yeah.
claiming that there's a base there and there's aliens there and the military's working with them and they're experimenting on humans. That is all bullshit.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
There is no base there.
Yeah, don't for a minute. believe
There is
it.
an array of towers
Mhm.
on top of
Right. They're
the
just transmitting
the
towers.
Archuleta Mesa
That's all
is
they
what
are.
it's called.
They're just transmission.
They're radio towers. They're on top of this mesa. There is no base there. There are literally multiple books about a base being in this
Right.
mesa in Dulce, New Mexico.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's bullshit.
absolute craziness.
Do not believe that stuff. The mythology of ufology.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think
90% mythology, 10% reality.
It's
That's
very
what it
hard
is.
to come up with concrete proof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, if you think about it, I've yet to really see any. What sucks.
You-
but,
you
I mean,
gotta-
I've seen a lot of video and stuff, but like I said, I'm convinced something's going on
there should be more cases.
in the sky with things. I don't know what they are.
There
where
should be
they're
more
from.
cases handled
Right.
like Peter Corey's case
Mhm.
with the alien hair, the DNA.
Right. Right.
This
Yeah.
is what we need to look for.
Right.
Traces, remnants of something that was there. When we go to a crime scene, we use luminol
Yeah.
to look for blood.
Yeah, all kinds
We
of stuff.
take fingerprints that are in a database.
Yeah.
We do DNA tracking.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do. So if we could get somebody to go to an abductee's house
If people really
and they
are
say,
getting
okay,
abducted, I mean,
they
my
left this
God.
mark on the window,
That's-
or they touched this counter
Yeah.
and left this,
Yeah. Right.
let's do some DNA.
Hey.
Don't touch it. Let's get somebody in there, take some of the DNA.
See if there's-
Let's
right.
look at these things like we look at a murder investigation. The problem is we can't get anybody to do it
Yeah.
because there's so many crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to say it, crazy fucking people
Yeah.
in the UFO community
Mm-hmm.
that scientists and real
They
people
shy
who have
away.
science background don't want anything to do with it. They're not going to do it because of all the crazy bullshit. I'll say it again. I'll say it again. And I'll keep saying it. So, well, I think we covered a lot of things today.
Yeah.
A few
yeah.
things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we'll probably wrap it up. And,
Yeah.
like, subscribe, share, and we'll be back soon. We'll try to keep up with the relevant topics that are going on,
Yeah.
and we'll have a discussion. We'll talk about it, and see if it's got any validity to it.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks, have a good one.
All right. It's a beautiful day. Have a good one.